it's good to meet you, and thank you for breaking off your fight rehearsal today for to talk to us about Starcrossed, a play you like so much that you followed it from New York to bring it here to London. Starcrossed is billed as a tale of forbidden love. So, spill the beans. What's it really all about?
I think it's really about this yearning for connection. Love, absolutely, but more connection, I think. It's about these two people that have found connection in their lives in very different ways. My character, Mercutio, in a very lustful driven way, and perhaps Tybalt in a more anger and violent driven way, but have never really found connection on a deeper level than the surface. So that yearning for connection that we all as humans have, and these two wonderful characters kind of get to mingle their way through an interaction that finds them finding it together.
This suddenly struck me listening to you then. This may be a role that you could swap over each night. You could be angry one night and lustful the next night. So they're now lovers, but are they also still bitter enemies like in Shakespeare's text?
Great question. I mean, the households are. Now, it's also worth pointing out that Mercutio isn't a Montague, he just associates with them. So by fate and by the way the times are in the two households, absolutely, that's where it begins, is that they were two kind of pitted against each other because of their households and backgrounds. And that is something that both of us have to work through as characters, is kind of, well, we're fated to be enemies, but have this connection that's, much more vulnerable and intense than that. Yeah. So, yes.
We know that Shakespeare wrote all the parts for young boys, even the women's parts. But was there any hint of any queerness in the original Romeo and Juliet?
Yeah, great question. Certainly with Mercutio, he's described as this kind of free-falling, carefree kind of slinking character about town. And there's lines about him kind of sleeping with anyone or anything. And so I don't know if it's overtly addressed in the original text. It's certainly alluded to, I believe, and everything that Rachel's drawn out makes complete Rachel Writer, Rachel Garnett. It's completely in line with the original text, and it runs parallel. So we weave in and out of kind of original text, and it does make sense. So certainly for me, for Mercutio, I see a lot of his kind of fluid nature and lustful ways in the original text. We just don't get a lot of time with him, as we do get a lot of time with him in Starcrossed.
You got some excellent reviews in the US, and the one that really caught my attention in Washington was they called the play a masterpiece and said not many people can claim to have improved Shakespeare, but Rachel Garnett can. That's high praise indeed. Do you think the snobby Brit Shakespearean fans will take as well to it as the Americans did?
Absolutely. I think the biggest thing is the play is surprising in a way that it's not as simple as making this a gay love story. It's much more than that. And I think it was a surface level change. Absolutely. The more Shakespeare in tune British audience might find that. I don't believe that's going to be the case. I certainly hope it's not going to be the case, because it's actually much more based on connection and this kind of desire to find something more in life. So it is high praise, and it is something that we don't want to come back to bite us. It's also a completely new production. It's a new team. I'm very lucky to still be with it and grateful for that. But I don't think the snobbiness, I think that would get out of the way pretty quickly after the first few scenes, because it moves very quickly at the start and we get into this new world that we know somewhat from the original, but it moves quickly.
So on the other hand, do you think Starcrossed will introduce a brand new audience to Shakespeare?
I certainly would hope so. I think what Rachel's master skill is that she keeps the elevation of the text that we know from Shakespeare in verse and prose and the style of writing, but it's incredibly accessible in a way that it's really vivid, the language. You can really see these relationships grow with still using original text throughout the play. So it is really accessible, and also it's not shutting off any groups from society. I think the queer storyline and plot line opens up, of course, a new audience, but also the conversations around religion and groups that are pitted against each other from societal means, how that actually can apply to someone and resonate with them beyond just the queer storyline, because it's not just that. There's multiple things that it opens up. So certainly it is our goal to kind of bring a new audience and bring new light to a story that people might have thought they knew.
So you're very passionate about this play, but what persuaded you to go for it in the first place?
I think the vulnerability of the characters. I think there's a lot of show involved in sometimes how Shakespearean text is done, and the vulnerability of characters, which is what we as humans are attracted to, right? It's vulnerability and kind of seeing someone put themselves at risk. And the risks in this play are big. The characters are heartfelt and truthful, and it's something that we get a really expanded version. There's only 3 actors in this play. So there's myself as Mercutio, a Tybalt, and then a player who plays everyone else kind of in Verona. So we really get this honed in focus on these 2 lovers, and that is a really attractive and rare thing, that we kind of get this elevated text in this world we thought we knew, in ways we all felt back then, this, gender and sexuality spectrum that now has come to be an understanding that actually people have always felt like that it's not as clear cut. So, yeah.
So you're playing, Starcrossed is playing at the iconic Wilton's Music Hall for most of June. Are there any plans to go elsewhere with it yet?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing we're all focusing on right now is putting on the best version of the piece and doing the writing justice at Wilton's. The Wilton's is a perfect venue, in my opinion, for the show. I'm really thrilled to be performing there. It's an amazing venue steeped in history, and the architecture really helps our piece. So at the moment, I'm thinking Wilton's, and anything beyond that is a blessing. But of course, would love the life of the show to continue, and for more people to be able to access this piece. I think, there's 400 seats at Wilton's times 30 performances. That's a lot, but the world is.
To me, sitting here, it's an obvious one to take to Edinburgh Festival, but I'm not your manager. And what for you? Now, you're an Australian living in New York and now performing in the UK. So you're all over the place. Have you got something planned after this run?
Yeah, I'll be heading back to New York after this run. But the brilliance of working here and being able to work here is that the kind of transatlantic feel of being able to potentially work in both countries is really attractive to me and my team. And I would love to be back here working, whether it's on this again or something else. I do have a film coming up in the US in the second half of the year, which would be lovely. And then some stuff that's coming out that I've already done, kind of pandemic movies, as they say, so that have been delayed. So it'll be nice to see that, but also just really enjoying my time here this summer and enjoying the run. And, I could do the show for a very long time and be a very happy person. So we'll see what happens.
Well, Queerguru will be in the front row on the first night to review it, not me, sadly. But so I wish you every success, and I hope the success you had in New York and Washington will be repeated here. Thank you for talking to us. Now go get some lunch.
Thank you so much.